A Twisted Time, Chapter 20, Past the Threshold. With the tuning exams only 2 days away, Sakura was scrambling to stock up on medical supplies, squeeze in some last-minute training, and set up a few more booby traps to further future-proof her bedroom. She was anticipating a prolonged separation from the time travel scroll while she was in the Forest of Death, so she needed to ensure that the traps were effective. With that thought in mind, Sakura took a few precautionary measures, such as sealing her bedroom door shut with a jutsu to keep her parents at a safe distance away, dipping shuriken and kunai in a debilitating poison, and developing an antidote for said poison in case another disastrous incident took place, like if Sasuke decided to crash through her window and get himself stabbed in the leg again. Speaking of Sasuke and her family, Sakura couldn't help the bubbly anticipation that surfaced at the thought of fast approaching meet the boyfriend dinner. Well, he wasn't actually her boyfriend, but Sakura's parents didn't know that part. I better not screw this up, Sakura thought anxiously, because if she and Sasuke let on that this whole thing was a scam, the trust between her and her parents would certainly suffer some damage. And if Kakashi too found out they were lying, he might be less keen to support Sakura in future times of need. Also, what if Sasuke didn't get along with her family? Sakura had a feeling that her mother was already sold on the prospect of meeting her daughter, dating the Uchiha heir, but wasn't so certain about her father. If her parents disapproved of Sasuke, it wasn't like Sakura could stop spending time with him, considering how he was her teammate, training partner, and her only real confidant in this confusing new life. Sakura was finding herself anxious on her teammate's behalf too. His unanticipated emotional reaction to her invitation was playing on a loop in her head. This silly dinner wasn't worth bringing about any painful or traumatizing memories. It was surprising enough that Sasuke didn't refuse her offer point blank, because it wasn't like they were really dating. In fact, in the broad scheme of things, tonight was completely and utterly pointless. That's right. It's just a silly dinner, Sakura, she reminded herself over and over again as she made her way home from the training grounds after spending another afternoon on Taijutsu with Lee. This is just a small, insignificant event that means nothing to the time travel mission. You aren't facing Sabasa, Gara, or Orochimaru for goodness sake. This is just something I've been fantasizing about for my entire life! Alright, who was she kidding? On top of her nervousness, Sakura was a little excited. After all, the boy she had been pursuing for her entire existence was coming over to meet her family. Even if it was just an act, the occasion held some symbolism Sakura couldn't quite shake. Alas, when Sasuke showed up at her door on Saturday evening, Sakura was wearing the pale, green summer dress Ino used to tell her that brought her her eyes, lacy white headband she totally forgot about owning, and some basic silver jewelry. She was feeling a tad disoriented when she threw open the door, since, as usual, her mother's meal preparation was running far behind schedule, and the house had been a mess until 3 minutes prior. Regardless, she was pleased to find that Sasuke had dressed a little up himself. Well, it was more like he ditched his shorts for a pair of black pants and paired them up with a gray top. His hair was an unruly mess as always, but that look seemed to suit him, as Sakura and every other female, and most males, in the village would attest to. Why am I just imagining Sasuke looking like a total dork in that outfit? Hi, she said a little breathlessly, smoothing down her hair as she let him inside. Now Sasuke never got a chance to answer her, because Mizuki had flocked over to the hallway to greet him with a barrage of comments like, "Did you take his shoes? I hope you're hungry. I was so lucky. Why does you look handsome this evening?" Sakura grinned and shrugged back against the wall. The poor guy hadn't even made it out of the entryway, and already her mother was swooning. They were ushered to the sitting room across the kitchen while Mizuki finished her dinner preparations. There, they joined Kizashi, who was lounging on an armchair enjoying a glass of red wine. Undecided Sasuke beamed wildly. "Well!" he boomed while raising his glass. "What a pleasure it is to have the sole heir to the famous Uchiha clan in our household!" And the money. Sakura felt strong urge to bury her face in her hands. To her relief, Sasuke didn't seem too fazed by her father's in-your-face demeanor. "The pleasure is mine," he answered with a polite nod before taking a seat on the couch. Sakura followed suit, relieved that Sasuke seemed accustomed to interacting with adults. Perhaps because he was raised attending formal events on the regular. As far as Konoha standards went, his family had been royalty. Sakura grimaced. Her own dinners were the absolute furthest thing from royalty. So Sasuke had any grand expectations for the evening. He was in for quite a shock. Can I get you a drink? He says he asked her, beckoning towards the glass at his head. Dad! Sakura scolded, shooting him a pointed look. We're not age yet! Sakura's inner, nearly 18-year-old self was screaming in protest. An alcoholic beverage would do her nerves wonders right now. And considering her brain's bizarre state of affairs, she still wasn't sure how old her brain was. It was probably best she avoided mind-altering substances for a long time. Guess she missed. And these times kids are working younger, marrying younger, dying younger. They'll see why you can't have a drink if you want to. It's a business as dangerous work. I don't want either of you to be deprived of the wonders of alcohol before, you die or have kids or something. Oh my god! Sasuke hadn't been in her house for 5 minutes, and already Sakura was embarrassed beyond belief. Thankfully, the excruciating exchange in the sitting room was cut short because Mifiki called him in to eat soon after. But dinner itself wasn't any better. Both of Sakura's parents had poured themselves several glasses of wine throughout the course of the meal, seemed to be having a splendid time questioning their guests. First, the questions weren't so bad. When Sakura's mother asked Sasuke about his scores at the academy, he had no trouble impressing Sakura's parents. He had the highest marks in the year, after all, marks higher than Sakura's. Soon after, he was asked about his hobbies. Sakura learned that Sasuke enjoyed hiking and reading in his spare time. Unfortunately, everything seemed to go downhill from there. You're such a responsible young man, Mizuki guessed while swirling around the wine in her glass. Must have been so hard growing up all alone. Uh-oh! But Mikoto raised you well, didn't she? I always admired your mother. She was a very kind woman. Warning! Warning! Indeed, chimed in Kazushi. Your entire family is very kind. In fact, except for that Tachi fellow, your older brother. Not sure what would have wrong with him. I'm surprised you were even related to him, frankly. Sakura wanted to slam her face into the table. Was this really happening right now? Talking about Itachi was off limits with Sasuke around. Apparently her parents never got that memo. She cast a nervous glance at Sasuke, whose expression was blank as always. He gave a polite nod and simply said, Thank you. Oh, how embarrassing! They were treading on very thin ice now. Sakura didn't dare venture to imagine what was going through her teammate's mind. He probably hated them all. Could her father pick the worst topic of conversation? Now, Sasuke, have you had any past girlfriends? Oh, yes, apparently he could. No. Sasuke answered between bites of food, tone casual. He must have been masking some sort of contempt for them all now. I find that hard to believe, Mizuki said with a wink. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, please stop. Somehow, Sasuke didn't seem too fazed by the comment. He merely smirked while keeping his attention locked on his food. You ended up choosing our Sakura, said Kizazi with a small smile. Well, you haven't nearly spent as much time with her yet if you still think she's dateable. He added with a snort, which was followed by both of Sakura's parents falling into fits of laughter. Guys! Sakura groaned, rubbing her temples. And to her horror, Sasuke looked rather amused by both her father's comment and her reaction to it. Unfortunately, the conversation took an even worse turn after that. Sakura's parents felt the atmosphere to be just right to start spewing embarrassing stories from Sakura's childhood, her quirks, early academy blunders, and other things he had been perfectly content with Sasuke not knowing, ever. Sure, she was relieved that the attention was diverted from Sasuke's personal life, but the expense of talking about hers instead. Sakura groaned, feeling her face glowing all shades of red. Sasuke does not need to know about my imaginary ninja friends for when I was a kid! But that comment finally only triggered another round of laughter, so she decided to shut up, pretend this whole thing wasn't happening. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they got to the dessert. Sakura caught a quick break in the conversation to ask Sasuke if he would like to take a walk with her. Pleasantries were exchanged. Sasuke took Kizazi's hand, returned him a fond clap on the shoulder, and praised Mizuki's cooking, was landed him a spine-snapping hug. First, Sakura practically yanked Sasuke out the door by the arm. Look, I'm really sorry about that, Sakura said while twisting her fingers together anxiously. I knew it would be brutal, but I didn't think they'd be that obnoxious! It's fine, Sasuke answered flatly. His hands were stuffed in his pockets, and he was gazing towards the setting sun. It was a rather beautiful ending for a stroll. The sky was painted various shades of oranges and pinks along the horizon. A warm glow was sweeping through the village. Aside from the spots where the long shadows were cast by rows of houses lining the streets, till the breeze sent pleasant chills down Sakura's bare arms and legs. She stole a glance at her teammate, who she presumed was hiding his true feelings about the torturous experience at her parents' house. His expression was as unreadable as it always was, and his gaze was something far more distant. They turned down a path and led to a small park in the heart of town. Sasuke didn't make any indication as to where they were going, but Sakura figured they would make their way back to his place eventually, as they usually did. Even though they were free from her parents' preferences, Sakura wasn't feeling much relief yet. This walk felt like it was dragging out forever, and Sasuke's silence was infuriating Sakura more than it usually did. He was probably feeling some combination of anger and annoyance after that dinner. But why wasn't he saying anything? Sure, he was an actions more than words guy, but his actions weren't making any sense these days. He accepted the food she left in his fridge, but he never thanked her or even mentioned it. He aggressively slammed her against a tree with no remorse, but then punched Naruto square in the face before he could get anywhere near Sakura in their sparring match. He forced her to stay in his place, but made no apparent attempts to ward off the alleged stalker who was breaking into Sakura's bedroom. Sakura cursed her stupidity. She just had to go and pick the most emotionally unstable, unreadable, insensitive human being on the planet to develop feelings for. And now they were pretending to date. It was 50 times harder to understand. Wow, sounds like you're made for him. I mean, after all, when you were young, you used to hide a lot too. Have they met him too? Sasuke asked suddenly, breaking the silence and pulling Sakura from her thoughts. What? She asked, rather abruptly. She had no idea what they were talking about. His eyes were trained on the path ahead of them. Your parents. I'm asking if they met that guy you have a history with, or whatever. He muttered. Wait, seriously? Sakura nearly forgot that Sasuke thought he had some sort of sadistic ex-boyfriend who was devoting her life to saving. The irony of it all was that this very person was making all these false assumptions about was himself. Well, the Sasuke of her old life. All right. He turned out to be rather sadistic in the end. It was true she was determined to save him. It wasn't like he had any real romantic history like this Sasuke apparently thought they did. No, not like that, she answered, forcing her eyes to focus on the rows of trees lining the path. If they met him, it's not like they would be able to tell him apart from you anyways. She closed her eyes and let out a sigh. Her life was such a ridiculous mess. Why the hell was Sasuke asking about her history in the first place? Of all the things he could bring up, why this? Then, as if Sakura's emotions needed any other reasons to go into overdrive, Sasuke grabbed her hand. She flinched profoundly and spun around to look at him, alarmed, but he paid no attention to her reaction. Kakashi's nearby, he said dismissively. He... Oh, Sakura answered, finding the color rising in her face. Of course this was about Kakashi. When she calmed down enough to focus her senses, she also felt Kakashi's presence lurking somewhere ahead on the nearby streets. They continued their walk in silence. Sasuke seemed content in his own thoughts. Despite how her mind and hormones were now in overdrive, the rest of the walk was rather relaxing. They adjusted their grips on each other a few times until the hand-holding became more comfortable, though it was pretty far from natural. Sakura didn't dare look his way again, especially because he seemed to be unnaturally quiet and reflected a mood she was rather little about interrupting. She couldn't help but notice, however, now that her worries were over the chewing exams were subsiding, that the dynamic between them was strikingly different than it used to be. Would Sasuke ever have held her hand like this in her old life? Would he have ever agreed to spending an evening with her family, let alone walking through the park with her? Sakura felt her chest tighten sadly, because she knew exactly what the answer to those questions was. Do you still want to train tonight? She asked a few minutes later as they neared her house. Her question seemed to break through his train of thought, because he straightened up and blinked a few times before answering. I'm just going to bed, he said as he used his free hand to pull his key from his pocket. Oh, okay, she said, a little surprised by his uncharacteristic answer. He led her out the steps, and only let her hand go after he opened the door. Sakura spent the night practicing her medical ninjutsu in Sasuke's living room. She decided not to venture out to the training grounds alone. With it only being 2 nights before the tuning exams, the village was probably crawling with foreign ninjas, just itching for a fight. So instead, she set up her stacks of textbooks on the floor and worked on channeling massive amounts of her chakra medical at once. Unfortunately, given the lack of live patients or lab animals to practice on, she was forced to practice on her own arms and legs by inflicting minor injuries to them with her weapons. But after only an hour of training in this manner, Sakura started feeling tired herself. She expended a considerable amount of chakra, and her limbs were starting to ache from being damaged, passed up again in rapid succession. So, after mopping up all traces from her blood on the floor, she changed to a pair of her spare pajamas she kept in Sasuke's hallway closet. While still in his bathroom, and curled up on the couch, she fell asleep instantly. She wasn't asleep for long. After barely a few hours, Sakura was awoken by the noise from the kitchen across the hall. It was only a soft creak of a cupboard opening. But Sakura, who was contented to sleep with one eye open, roused abruptly to this disturbance. It was pitch black. She yanked her head upwards, the direction of the kitchen, which was normally viewable from her angle on the couch, but her eyes hadn't adjusted to the darkness yet, and she couldn't see a thing. Her heart rate quickened and kept her body as still as possible, listening intently. A moment later, she heard a soft pounding on the tiles of Sasuke's kitchen floor. Someone was in there. Without further delay, Sakura pried the kunai from her pillow, drove violently for the small lamp on the side table at the opposite end of the couch. She flicked the light and sprang to her feet, weapon poised. The kitchen across the hall was still obscured by the shadows, but Sakura was now able to make out a figure running through the cabinets beside Sasuke's oven. The rummaging stopped as soon as Sakura turned on the light. Sakura, go to bed, came Sasuke's voice then. Relief washed over him. It was just him, but just to be on the safe side, because for all she knew, this was some imposter using a transformation jutsu. She kept her guard up. What are you doing? She asked, holding her kunai ready at her hip as she crept across the way to the kitchen. Smooth, worn floor tiles felt cold beneath her bare feet. But Sasuke didn't answer her, and resumed his rummaging. Curiosity was steadily growing. When she reached the entrance to the kitchen, she turned the kitchen light on the dim setting. Sasuke, standing across the kitchen, was back to her froze. Sasuke? She asked slowly, venturing across the kitchen to meet him, her grip steadily tight on the kunai's handle. Yeah? He answered without moving an inch, tongue cold and flat. What are you doing? She repeated, unsurely as she passed by the kitchen table and approached him near the oven. He didn't acknowledge Sakura or even move a muscle, which Sakura found terribly unnerving. What the hell was going on? Then, like something snapped aside him, and he slammed the covered shirt with a threat of aggression. I said, go to bed! She snarled without meeting her eyes. Sakura jumped back in alarm. He was gripping the countertop so hard his knuckles were turning a ghostly white. To her shock, Sakura felt a pulse of fear at his lethal tone. Suddenly aware that she was in the presence of a guy who could snap her neck with a single, effortless strike if he really wanted to. You shouldn't be afraid of Sasuke. Not anymore. Not in this life. But it didn't stop her from retreating. Without a word, Sakura backed away, switched off the lights, curled up on the couch with her knife and a million thoughts. But she didn't sleep. Sakura waited instead. Waited until Sasuke left the kitchen 10 minutes later. Waited until he returned to his room and closed the door. Waited until his chakra signature flickered and lulled into sleep. Then she was back into the kitchen in the pitch black with her pocket flashlight. This was a terrible thing to do, just sniffing around. She had no business meddling with her teammates' affairs, especially with something that was clearly causing some sort of emotional turmoil. Her curiosity got the best of her. What on earth was Sasuke hiding in there? She started scanning the cabinets, opening the door as soundlessly as she could, so she didn't stop every squeak, praying Sasuke didn't hear. Sakura wasn't entirely familiar with his kitchen, since he spent most of her evenings in there, And she even prepared food for him on a couple occasions. She hadn't explored every nook and cranny. Okay, if I don't find anything suspicious in 5 minutes, I'm just gonna head to bed, pretend nothing happened, Sakura told herself firmly, because she knew that if Sasuke woke again, it probably wouldn't end well. And so she stumbled on a tiny drawer that wouldn't open. It's only a few inches wide and it struck close. Sakura gave it a few hard yanks before bending closer to examine it. It didn't take long for her to realize it wasn't sealed with any physical devices. It was sealed with chakra. Not with special complicated jutsu or anything. Just enough that any normal amount of human strength couldn't pry it open. Good thing Sakura had plenty of abnormal strength at her disposal. Charging up her own chakra at her fingers, she gripped the ends of the door and gave it a firm pull. And to her relief, the door finally gave and slid open in her hands. She found inside rendered Sakura speechless. Pills. Containers upon containers of pills. Whether or not this was what Sasuke had been looking for in his angry, sleepy stupor, these drugs were now harnessing Sakura's attention. Why do you have all these? The first thought was perhaps all this time Sasuke had some illicit drug addiction, but prescription labels told her otherwise. These drugs had been prescribed to him legally. But why? Most of the tiny bottles appeared to be unopened, except for one, which, upon a brief inspection, Sakura recognized as a pill with strong sedative properties. In fact, it was one of the strongest sleeping pills that Sakura had prescribed in her past life. Finding sleeping pills in the hands of a ninja wasn't uncommon, given their irregular sleeping patterns and the trauma many experienced after missions. But in the hands of a ninja so young? Well, it wasn't unheard of, but it was rarer. The rest of the drawer was filled with common remedial pills, anti-inflammatories, unfinished vials of antibiotics, and immune system boosters. But then her trained eye lighted on the 5 bottles in the back. Those were unopened, and all of it were a different brand of antidepressant. Why did he have these? Were these prescribed to him? And if so, wasn't Sasuke taking them? All this time, Sasuke had been suffering right under her nose in ways that she, a medical specialist, should have recognized. What else was he hiding? In her mind brimming with questions, but she knew it would be best for her to close the door and pretend that she never saw its contents in the first place. After all, she could find out more about Sasuke's medical profile on her own. She wasn't the hospital's hotshot intern for nothing. And that's just what Sakura set out to do on a Sunday morning, one day before the start of the tuning exams. At the crack of dawn, long before Sasuke awoke, Sakura slipped out to the hospital after making a quick detour at her parents' house to grab her work uniform. Sakura wasn't scheduled to work today. She gained enough of a rep that no one ever questioned it when she was there. It wasn't like she ever had a source of work there to do anymore. Right when Sakura walked in fact, she was ushered to the surgery wing to help with a heart transplant on a young woman who was beyond the help of medical jutsu alone. She monitored the procedure, distributed tools, and provided plenty of advice to ensure everything went smoothly. Immediately after, she helped a new family physician with one of her first regular checkups, set a broken wrist, and consulted a psychiatrist about the appropriate prescription for a patient in the trauma wing. Sure, Sakura wasn't getting paid to do this. Heck, today she wasn't even getting paid at all. But managing the hospital and authoritative jack-of-all-trades role felt natural to her. It still came a bit of a surprise at how much the other healthcare workers trusted her advice so readily, given her age. She had a sneaking suspicion that Ayame let slip Sakura's incoming tentative promotion, that would explain all this newfound respect she was getting. Sakura wasn't complaining in the least bit. It was a huge relief to finally kiss her filing days goodbye. Well, of course, on one day Sakura wanted to go back to the filing section, she got held up in every way imaginable. Finally, after about 4 hours of unpaid work, Sakura made it to the wing of the hospital where the patient's records were stored. There was nothing unethical about snooping through Sasuke's medical files, she decided. After all, she had been the personal physician for the majority of her friends in previous life, and could even spew out their medical histories like they were written on the back of her hand. But Sasuke, the person she thought about the most and spent so much time with, was the one person she knew nothing about. He could have an asymptomatic terminal illness for all she knew. As Team 7's medical ninja, it was essential that she was well versed in her teammates' medical conditions, Sakura reacted, and she was entitled to this knowledge. Sakura scanned the cells for Sasuke's file, a little hurriedly because if someone caught her in there, They pulled her away to help her with some other medical procedure across the hospital. Thankfully, after only a minute, she found it and tore it from the shelf. She stared down the pale green folder, greeted by a familiar scowl. A small mugshot of her teammate was on the top right-hand corner, accompanying a short list of basic demographic facts, like its age, birth date, blood type. Sakura only scanned the list briefly, because she wasn't there for her. She was really after what was inside this folder. Any medical complications, specialist appointments, rare diagnoses, medical routines? Without further delay, Sakura opened the file and found that it was empty. Sakura was fuming. She just wasted her entire morning on a wild goose chase for nothing, and on the day before the tuning exams. She could have spent those precious hours training or stocking up on medical supplies for the force of death. But somehow, the hospital managed to lose Sasuke's medical records. Not only that, but all medical history on his deceased family members too. There you, Donzo! Was checked up after shoving his empty file back on the shelf. Some idiot must have tossed the files away after the massacre, including Sasuke's for some reason. What a pathetic rudimentary error. Medical personnel were told time and time again to hold on to the medical records of those killed in combat. Of course, just when she needed them most, all records of the entire existence of the Team Tia clan had up and vanished. Somebody was going to pay for this. It took a solid half hour of aimless wandering through the village for Sakura to rid herself of thoughts of those missing files, Sasuke's mysterious medical history. He clearly wasn't about to die from a chronic illness anytime soon, since he made it to at least teenagehood in a previous life. So with that thought in mind, Sakura managed to calm herself down enough to focus. Right, so the tuning exam started tomorrow. There must be something she could be doing right now. Hey, Sakura-chan! Somebody a voice behind her. She rolled around to find the glowing face of her beloved, noisy blonde teammate. What's up, Naruto? She asked with a smile. He came to a halt when he was immediately before her. Nothing, he said with a cheeky grin. Nothing at all. Sakura folded her arms. The mischievous glint in his eyes told her otherwise. What's this about? She asked, eyebrows raised. Nothing, he repeated, seriously his tone. That's the point! I'm so bored! Let's get lunch! Well then, Naruto's foreignness never failed to surprise her. Sakura had to admit that the prospect of getting food was highly appealing to her at the moment, given how she just worked an unexpectedly long and exhausting shift without pausing for a break. Sure, let's go, she said with a chuckle. As anticipated, Naruto's face lit up instantly. For real? Yes! He exclaimed, punching the air dramatically before grabbing her arm. Come on! I need ramen! And that's how Sakura found herself in Ichiraku on Sunday afternoon, where Bonehead had a best friend. Or at least, former best friend, and currently more than acquaintance. She had to admit, despite his probably less mature demeanor, Naruto was such a glowing ball of energy, she couldn't resist feeling at ease in his presence. So, how's your training going? She asked before taking her first slurp of a hot meal. To her surprise, Naruto responded with a seeming smile. Good! Well, I mean, I've been training with someone from a different team, so I'm learning all some new stuff. Sakura was surprised by this information. Did he already start training with Jiraiya? Or was he talking about Konohamaru? Who? She asked with interest. Hinata! Naruto answered with a mouthful of noodles. I ran her into her the other day, since I couldn't find you guys. I asked her to train with me instead. That was unexpected. Sakura couldn't think of two ninjas with more opposite fighting styles either. Hinata was struck with grace and poise of the artful, majestic Hyuga, and, well, Naruto, who basically did whatever the hell he wanted as loudly and violently as possible. But if her abilities were rubbing off on Naruto in some way, well, the result might be pretty interesting. It's not that you and the asshole aren't good enough to train with or anything, Naruto added while ducking his head, peering up at her wide eyes. So, I hope you're not mad. Oh no, Sakura answered with dismissive way. I've been training with Lee anyways. Naruto's eyes shot up. Who? Whoa! It hadn't occurred to Sakura Naruto hadn't become properly acquainted with Rock Lee yet. He's, again, a year older than us. He's taking exams too. This is weird. I have to introduce them. She vaguely recalled an aggressive battle taking place between the three boys when they introduced her past life. Lee was certainly a valuable ally. He saved your asses last time while in the forest of death, after all. Naruto shrugged. No clue who that is, he said. But his face contorted into one of sneaking looks. Is Dickhead pissed you're training with this Lee guy? Sakura rolled her eyes. Sasuke doesn't know, and I'm sure he won't care. I doubt that, Naruto said with a snicker. Don't see why you took dust up. You're way out of his league. He's overprotective and grouchy. Sakura's thoughts instinctively returned to Sasuke's drawer full of pills. Couldn't hurt to see if Naruto knew anything about Sasuke's medical condition, could it? Not as he really expected him to. He's only been on the same team for a few months. They sort of knew each other in their academy years, right? I don't mean to change the subject, Naruto. Sakura tried, swirling her chopsticks around her bowl, staring at it determinedly. But you don't know why Sasuke might need to take any medicine, do you? It's just, as a team's medical ninja, it's important I know your medical backgrounds. Sasuke's medical information is missing from the hospital. She cast her blonde teammate a hesitant glance. Oh, sure I do, Naruto answered a casual nod. You mean the pills? Sakura's jaw was just about slamming the table. What? She gasped, stretching her strong arms to rise to her feet. How in the hell's Nate did Naruto know about this? Right now, he and Sasuke were sworn rivals. Calling them friends even a little premature, whereas Sakura practically lived in Sasuke's den house. To her surprise, Naruto just laughed. Relax, Sakura-chan, he said, gripping her arm across the table. It's just for the usual post-trauma stuff. I was offered so too when I was a kid, but my tragedy happened when I was too young to remember it. He paused. It's an orphan thing, I guess. You know, harder to cope with things like that without family around. Post-trauma? Of course. Sakura thought, putting her head in her hands. How could she have been so blind? What kind of unearthly god wouldn't develop post-traumatic stress after watching their parents get murdered on loop for days on end at the age of 8? And since it appeared he wasn't actually taking his prescribed medication, symptoms must either be minimal or hidden very well. Sakura was furious over herself now. I'm such a bad friend to both of you. She groaned in her hands. Relax, Sakura-chan, Naruto said, pulling back with a teary grin. You're a great friend. He expressed his face in concentration. Well, only if you pay for my lunch. Sakura managed a weak smile. Tell you what, Naruto said, setting down his chopsticks. How about we hit the training grounds? You know, blow out some steam before you exam tomorrow? Yeah, point. Sakura realized her own proper smile spread. So like she had anything else to do? Sure, she said, fishing for the last bites of her ramen bowl. Just give me 10 minutes to go home and change. Sakura spent the evening training with Naruto. That's some light sparring and target practice before making her way back home for dinner. It was a refreshing evening that proved to be a perfect distraction from the stress of the upcoming exams, worries for her other teammates. She hadn't seen all day. Sakura couldn't stop the guilt from welling up inside her at the thought of what Naruto said over lunch. You know, it's hard to cope with things like that without family around. Her heart clenched. Maybe she offered to do something really nice to him that night before he went to bed. Like bring him some food or polish his weapons. Just to let him know that she was there. Sakura! Vicky called upon her arrival to her parents' house. Only Sakura said her thoughts. You know, supposed to get a mail. I think you better have a look at that. Intrigued, Sakura entered the kitchen and took the scroll from her mother's offering hand. Pulled it open and immediately felt her stomach drop with disbelief. Dear Sakura Haruno, the Hokage requests your attendance in his office until 8 a.m. tomorrow. Latest for the first exam, which begins at 9 a.m., will be pardoned should the meeting last longer than 1 hour. Regards, Ibiki Morino. Sakura slapped her forehead. What now?